Wait, how are we starting this?
Off. Right after the oh my god, Sloth! We got
let's not do that.
oh my god, Sloth!
Oh my
We
god,
have a new
Mo.
we have a new mission. Oh shit. A new episode. I don't know. Let's be normal. Let's be normal.
Right, Mo. What are
Yo,
your thoughts on the game Risk of Rain 2?
it's a good game.
A good game. How good is it?
It's an amazing game.
An
Like
amazing
obviously,
game.
it's one of the games you've played. Yeah, 100%.
An amazing game.
Yeah.
An amazing game, you say?
Yeah, it's an amazing game. Yeah.
Anyway, so this guy here called Gamble doesn't like it. What do you have to say about that?
He's dumb.
He's dumb.
Honestly, like no, for seriously, like he has well structured points, but the points aren't that good.
Mhm.
Like
You know
he has
what?
some well structured points.
Let's
For sure.
let's have a
The
look
way
at let's have a look at some of the stuff he's saying. We can see.
this is a kind of weird review, right? Because fuck pressure. I gotta calm down. Okay. This is kind of a weird review to write because among both my close friends and the internet at large, Risk of Rain 2 seems to be one of the most beloved titles out there. But it just never clicked for me. Despite having over 60 hours in the game, I never once wanted to go back to the game after getting all the achievements. For a while I've struggled to realize why, but after playing some other games I think I have it.
So I think there's a big obvious one there. Big obvious thing. I've never once wanted to go back into the game after getting all the achievements. You mean like any other game? Once you finish a game and you've done everything, there's really no reason to go back. You know.
I mean some people like doing so.
Yeah, I mean, if you want
Some
to go
people
back,
like,
if you want to go back,
yeah,
yeah, it's fine. But typically, when you've finished it, you finished it. It's not.
exactly.
You can't say, "Oh, I finished the game. Now I'm bored of it." It's a bad game.
Exactly.
You know.
Like typically what happens is like people finish the game 100%,
Mhm.
right? Or they don't and then they go back to complete stuff they missed.
Yeah.
But when you've completed 100% of the game, if you go back to it, it's just to mess around.
Yeah.
That's what it is for. So I
Yeah.
understand how not being able to go back to a game you've completed necessarily makes it a bad game in any way.
But while we're here, after obviously we've read through this already.
Yeah.
I just want to say right now that I don't think he's actually completed the game as he says he has. He hasn't 100%ed it. Anyway, there's more. We'll get into that once we get into it. And to be short, he's basically complaining that he's completed the game and he's not got anything else to do after completing it, doing everything.
Yeah.
Something drew him in to make him play for 60 hours,
Yeah.
and he's
Don't get me wrong. I also think it's possible to play that amount of time and like feeling pain, like forcing yourself to go through it and then
yeah,
like being in pain the whole time.
yeah.
But that doesn't sound like that's the case here. It sounds like
Yeah.
he enjoyed his time, and it's only when
He's
coming back
he's
that he's like,
specifically saying that he's bored after getting all of the achievements, and
exactly.
that's what he's specifically saying.
In short, my main complaint with Risk of Rain 2 comes down to two problems. In short, my main complaint with Risk of Rain 2 comes down to two problems, or rather lack of game systems that I expect from a roguelite. A lack of progression and lack of variety. One other roguelite-esque game I've been playing a lot and I'm having a ton of fun with it
Yeah,
is Deep Rock Galactic. And I think one of the reasons why is that there's so much to do. Resources to collect, upgrades to buy, dwarfs to promote. There's always a reason to go for another dive. Risk of Rain 2 doesn't have that. Risk of Rain 2 doesn't have this. Once you've beaten the game with a character and unlocked its 3 to 4 alternate abilities, there's virtually no reason to go back into the game.
right.
Unless the basic gameplay loop is enough to justify it. And for me, it isn't.
Right, we're gonna have to go back a little bit here. First off, my main complaint with Risk of Rain 2 comes into two problems, or rather lack of game systems that I expect from a lack of progression, of lack of variety.
Yeah,
We've both played Risk of Rain 2 for a very long time.
especially you.
Do you feel there is a lack of progression or lack of variety?
No, no.
Yeah, that's bullshit. There's how many characters? About 11 characters, which is already quite variety. You know, things like Enter the Gungeon only have 4 characters or 5.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so 11 characters in a roguelike, which are all unique, by the way. It's already good variety. There's more than 100 items as well, which is quite average for a roguelike, but still, they're different enough that there is variety.
I was gonna say like the only point you could make is maybe the maps
Yeah.
lack variety because it's like it's mostly the
Yeah.
same thing.
But you
But
don't,
like as you pointed out, that's not really the point of this game. The maps isn't like the focal points.
yeah,
The focal point is the creatures, which there's a ton of.
Mm-hmm.
The items, okay, some items are kind of similar to each other, but overall, it's still like unique enough that I would consider the game to have variety with items.
Yeah, like there's quite a lot of healing items, obviously, but they all heal in different ways that impact how you play. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, so each character obviously has 3 abilities, is it? 3 or 4 abilities plus the equipment, and that's different wherever you get. There's about 30 odd equipment.
Yeah, and they're all very different from each other. I can't
Yeah.
think of a single one that are similar.
And as for progression, first off, this is why I don't believe that he's actually completed the game, because almost most of the items in the game you have to unlock. You have to actually go in and do a challenge to unlock them. Same with characters. There's obviously progression in them, and then you need to go in. If you want to unlock an item, you have to go in and do something specific to get it. And there's also there's obviously a couple of unlocks for each character, which take a lot of time, a lot of them. And the way he compares it to Deep Rock Galactic, the numbers are kind of the same in terms of unlocks. So I'm not entirely sure where he's coming from with that.
Like you have a bit of experience with Deep Rock Galactic,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yeah, it was a while ago that I last played it. So in Deep Rock Galactic, there's 4 characters, just 4. And while it's obviously a fun game, there's less variety between the characters in Risk of Rain 2 than in Risk of Rain 2. Sorry, you know, we have a couple of unlocks for each character and a couple of unlocks for each character in Risk of Rain 2, so it's kind of the same. Just the only difference is that in Risk of Rain 2 is 11 characters instead of 4.
And his point about the map was very interesting enough because you told me the whole of the entirety of Deep Rock Galactic happens in one map.
Well, it's a randomized map, but it's all in pretty much a cave. The different
Oh, okay.
the colors are different, but it's like it's just a
Same
cave.
thing, but it's like it looks aesthetically differently.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
So to complain about the maps in Risk of Rain 2 wouldn't because they're not completely different, would be like complaining about Deep Rock Galactic because they all happen in a cave. Oh, I mean that's not bad, but you know there's some hiccup. Fuck, I can't speak. There's some hypocrisy here. That's kind of hampering the review.
Funny enough, look, I do agree that the amount of things to do in Risk of Rain 2 is very narrow and goal-oriented. Everything you do is to accomplish the same goal, which is to clear the level. But when it comes down to the same things, killing enemies and getting items, but how does any of that stop it from being fun? You feel me?
Yeah, that's called a gameplay loop, Gambo. You know,
exactly,
believe it or not.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, every game has pretty much the same. Every game is about doing the same thing repeatedly.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what games are.
Yeah, but he was hoping for more side quests that are like completely unrelated and like more side things to do that are completely unrelated from the goal of, you know, clearing the level.
Yeah, but that goes back to the progression. There is stuff to do, but he's obviously not looked at. No, you can't. No, there's a lot of there's a good few secrets to try and get into. There's characters you unlock, there's abilities you unlock, there's items you have to unlock. You know, the fact that he's so the fact that he hasn't done this really shows that he hasn't, you know, really delved into the game properly.
Let's keep reading. The other issue I touched upon is variety. Risk of Rain 2 consists of the same 5 stages repeated in a loop with a couple of different hidden realms. Once you play through a stage once or twice, you play through it 100 times. While this is not unlike the aforementioned DRG or other roguelikes like Isaac, I think the thing that separates those games is that I enjoy the basic gameplay loop in those games a lot more. The reason for this is that variety is not limited to just stages, but also the items. In Risk of Rain 2, you're on lookout for largely the same items everyone. They're very strong when you collect them en masse, and everything else is just kind of there. This leads to a lot of runs feeling very samey to me, where I collect a lot of speed, fire rates, bleed, and win the game. There's no crazy builds like in Isaac that you've never seen before. Again, once you've beaten the game once or twice, you've beaten it 100 times.
Right, there's a lot to unpack here.
That?
A lot to unpack. So first, Risk of Rain consists of the same 5 stages repeated in a loop. My answer to that is so. So? That's not a bad thing.
Yep. That's
I mean,
pretty
no,
common in roguelikes.
yeah, the game isn't about a map. The game isn't about the map. It's just it's about going in and killing monsters. That's what it is.
He's so focused on the map. Like
Yeah,
the map is like it's the map and the items. That's what he claims lack variety. But that's it.
and
Come
the
on,
items
like,
don't
there's
even
more
lack
to the game
variety.
than that.
He's completely wrong with at least half of his points.
He's kind of making the same points
Yeah,
again
he's
and again.
repeating.
Just diving.
He's just repeating his points, trying to draw it out and make it look a bit more professional. A big issue I have is how he's now comparing the game to the Binding of Isaac. I think that completely degrades the validity of his review. It just destroys it.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a valid review when you compare it. I'm sorry, but like when you compare a roguelike to the Binding of Isaac, that's the equivalent of like comparing any remotely difficult game to Dark Souls. You know?
Exactly.
Like remember when Cuphead first came out, people were like, "Oh, this is the Dark Souls of animated games." You know what I mean? It's that kind of level of comparison. They're not the same game.
Yeah, it's like a pointless comparison, and most importantly, it's like you're literally comparing them with like the gold standard.
Yeah.
Right, and then somehow it not meeting the gold standard makes it a bad game. I don't understand how.
Exactly. You know, Binding of Isaac is
Exactly.
one of the best roguelike games out there.
Mm-hmm.
No questions about it. I mean,
My,
maybe
my Risk of Rain is too as well.
yeah,
But less. So.
in different ways. But so when you can, you know, when you take like the best of something and then compare everything new to the best, you're gonna it's gonna fall
You're gonna be
short.
disappointed.
Yeah. But even at that,
And I like how you worded it before. You should be grading when you write a review. You should be reviewing it based off the game's own merit and not compare it to completely different games. You feel me? Like
yeah. No, when you're reviewing a game, you need to review the game, not don't review how the game stands up to other things. Anyway, let's get on to this next paragraph.
Yeah, this next paragraph is a good one. I think the third and final problem of the game that prevents me from playing it more is the pace. The beginning of the game feels excruciatingly slow, with no real aha items to make your run feel fun from the get-go. Unlike in a game such as Isaac, I also find the base movement speed of a lot of the casts too slow, making them very unfun to play for me, as I need a couple more movement speed upgrades just to feel like you're spending the best years of your life walking from point A to point B. However, my issue with the pace don't stop there. After a certain point, especially exacerbated if you go for a certain tonic build, you become nigh unkillable except for extremely strong nigh one-shots later in the game. This creates a weird nebula of feeling too weak into feeling too strong. And when combined with the lack of variety mentioned earlier, meaning you can just go kill the final boss as soon as possible, stage 5. Or just wander aimlessly around the same levels until you eventually get hit 2 times in a row and die. This feeling could just be me, but there's never any sense of how will I make this build work. It's either, whoa, I found the same 5 items on every character and I will now win. Or, this is so boring I want to exit the game and restart. Overall, I find the pace of Risk of Rain too lacking extremely, which prevents me from wanting to do repeated runs once the aforementioned few progression systems are completed.
That was a chunky paragraph. We probably should have split that up, but it's fine.
No, yeah.
So so in Risk of Raid 2, you're on the lookout for largely the same items every run. I want you to remember that part where you're on the lookout for largely the same items every run. I think so I just want you to remember that part, and then that very, very strong when you collect them. That's everything just kind of there. Well, I mean, I don't think that needs to be addressed because everybody who's played this game knows that is not true. The items are the best thing about it. That's what really defines it. There are practically no items that are useless. Even if you're playing like the engineer, obviously something like the wax quail isn't going to be the best for you.
Yeah.
But the wax quail works on, the huntress or the mercenary. You know what I mean?
Don't get me wrong, there are definitely items that are better than others. But
Yeah.
to say that it's always the same build and there's no difference whatsoever in builds, like no, there's some items that are viable for certain characters and are not that great on others. So he talks about the pacing.
Yeah.
And that's really where I'm completely so against it. I think it ramps up so quickly.
Yeah.
Like maybe the first map is slow.
Has he never got past the first level? Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. He's never got past. He's just stuck in there to this day. Just 60 hours in there. That explains so much.
Oh. Big stone titans getting him some trouble.
He thinks that's the final boss. He thinks the final boss is the big stone titan. It doesn't hold up, especially considering what he says right after. He says that the game is too easy, essentially,
Yeah.
and that you become unkillable on most runs, and that's incorrect.
I mean, if you're
You
playing,
know how many times we played this game and like just how many runs have we played and got absolutely stomped on? Like
yeah,
it happens. It's rare. It's very rare to be invincible in this game.
yeah. Obviously, I think it is possible to be invincible, but the chances of that happening compared to you getting destroyed, you know, what I mean, it's no way to compare.
Like by the time you become invincible, there's probably been like dozens, if not hundreds, of runs where you just just got absolutely destroyed. Contradiction too. He was saying that it's like it's too slow and everything's easy, and here it's saying like later he says, "Oh, you get 2 shot." What?
Yeah,
Which is it?
Speaking of contradictions, there's a part where he says, "I think the third and final problem with the game that prevents me from playing it more is the pace. The beginning of the game feels excruciatingly slow, with no real aha aims to make you feel."
Yeah, that contradicts the start that he says the whole game is like that.
Yeah, he says earlier that there's items that you need to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
But now he's saying that those items don't exist.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. You can say that the pace of the start is lacking, and you stick to it. You don't go from the start is slow, and then at the end, the whole game is slow. Like that's not no.
Yeah, he's just not being consistent with anything he's saying.
He says here, "Well, I've been talking very negatively of the game so far. I do want to highlight some of the things I did enjoy. The characters all feel very unique.
Okay, he was complaining about variety earlier. What's going on?
And besides having the same builds being universally strong for 90% of the cast, play differently. I also do enjoy the environmental design. He's pretty good as well. Earlier he was like, the maps trash, not enough maps,
not enough
and now he's
characters,
like,
not enough
environmental
maps.
design.
You want to have a look at his comments
crazy.
to see what he says.
Yep.
I get where you're coming from, but I should probably clarify that nearly all of these hours were spent playing with friends. And that's a problem, I think. Because what he's obviously done here, and we've obviously discussed it, he hasn't completed the game, he hasn't done everything, he doesn't even know there's some things you need to unlock. He's obviously been reading off the backs of his friends' unlocks and being surprised when he doesn't have to do it himself.
True. That's true. That's a good point. Because like, if your friend unlocks something, you get access to it too.
Yeah, everything except for the characters, which coincidentally is the only thing he seems to know that you unlock.
I think you're just projecting what you like in other modern roguelikes onto Risk of Rain 2. It holds true to more of the traditional roguelike genre to put it in a 3D world. But they do pepper in player progression throughout the game that I think you are overlooking. Yes, exactly. There is no eureka item that you wish at the bottom of your heart that you get to give to that you get to give you a significant edge or change to a playstyle that you prefer to really get what you get.
And that's a positive thing about it as well. You really have to adapt to your circumstances, which I think is good for a roguelike.
And by the way, the guy who read the guy's username?
Sonic the fucking Hedgehog.
Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. Yeah.
Well, maybe we should bring him on and get like Sloth, Mole, and Hedgehog.
Hedgehog, damn. Damn.
Just ignore the Sonic part.
Yeah, just a normal hedgehog, man.
It's a normal
blue. This is normal.
A normal blue hedgehog with sneakers.
You know what? No. Before I gotta go though, I have some comments about this game though. This game, honestly, is like the Dark Souls of roguelikes.
Oh my god, you sure?
Saving that one for like days. It's the Dark Souls of roguelike, guys.
The Dark Souls of roguelikes. You've heard it here first.
This is the Cuphead of reviews, man. This is the Cuphead of videos. Honestly, I think we're like the Witcher Wild Hunt of channels.
Yeah, we are.
Wild Hunt 3. We're done here.
And so that was our talking about that crappy review.
I don't mind having different opinion, but if you're gonna make arguments to sustain your opinion, they better be strong arguments.
Yeah, you know what we should really review? This fucking crusty ass pizza. Got like fuck sauce on it. I think this entire slice is just cheese.
Wow, that's a new channel, guys.
Pizza reviews.
Food reviews.
No, not food reviews. Specifically pizza reviews.
Pizza reviews.
Okay, okay, we're dragging it on long enough. Okay, that's goodbye.